Hello ladies and gentlemen, Aaron here with Suave Midnight. I know I said that I was going to be doing a video on the Camarilla in the last episode, but I changed my mind. I decided I actually wanted to do a video on the Thin Bloods because, I don't know, I just was intrigued by them. But when I spoke with E down on the beach in Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. So let's talk about them very quickly. A Thin Blood is a vampire who is part of the Thin Blood clan in 5th edition, or an individual who has suffered from the Thin Blood flaw introduced in the earlier editions. Just by the way, a lot of this lore between 5th edition and the older editions is very interchangeable. That being said, there is some differences, and I'm mostly focusing on the older lore because that's what I'm familiar with. But we will be focusing on 5th edition stuff as well. Thin-blooded is a term that also contains some amount of subjective interpretations. Blood thickness is a relative concept because Cainites of lower generations, those vampires that are closer to Cain, they have stronger blood, essentially. They have more power in their blood, while those more removed from Cain are weaker, and they're considered to have thinner blood. For centuries, the Thin Bloods were persecuted by vampires of various affiliations, especially the Sabbat, that fear their existence because Gehenna prophecies seem to indicate thin-blooded vampires are a sign of the end times. While in previous centuries the Kaitif bore the brunt of this hatred, and Kaitif are a clanless kindred. Essentially, let me just explain Kaitif very quickly. Essentially, all Thin Bloods are Kaitif, clanless, but not all clanless vampires are Thin Bloods, okay? The upsurge of the 14th and 15th generation kindred has become a matter of great debate and concern. Half of all 14th generation vampires are Thin Bloods, and all 15th generation kindred are Thin Bloods. It has become a matter of great debate and concern in kindred communities, and has notably resulted in the return of the office of the Scourge in Camarilla cities. Essentially, the Scourge is a vampire that is directly subordinated to a prince. He is one of the muscles that a given prince may call upon to do his bidding. And his job is essentially to destroy all Thin Bloods, as well as destroy those who are illegally embraced, which is being turned into a vampire. Unlike the sheriff position, the Scourge does not pretend to follow laws or investigate anything. They're just there to kill. Alright, back to Thin Bloods. In the modern Knights, while only about like I said, only half of 14th generation vampires are afflicted by Thin Blood, all 15th generation vampires are. Until recently, they were thought to be the final generation, but evidently vampiric blood gradually thickens over the centuries. There are rumors that some vampires of the 16th generation have begun to appear, but most of these creatures, if they do exist, most likely do not survive very long. Or they may not even be recognizable as vampires at all. Vampires with Thin Blood syndrome possess exceptionally diluted vitae. A character with Thin Blood syndrome must expend twice the number of blood points necessary, and they cannot form blood bonds, and they also have to use a portion of their vampiric power just to wake up every night. In addition to what was described above, thin-blooded vampires generally have great difficulty embracing new vampires, and more strangely, those who do survive often do not awaken as a vampire until minutes or even hours later. Despite being definitively weaker than regular vampires, they do possess some advantages. Many thin-blooded vampires, for example, are able to learn strange and rare disciplines without training, while others develop their own powers, a feat normally impossible for any but the lowest generations. These rare individuals are called inceptors, a title usually reserved for ancient vampires who spend centuries developing new powers of the blood. Even with the powers they create themselves, however, the thin-blooded cannot achieve high mastery of disciplines. 14th generation vampires can only learn up to level 4 of a given discipline, and 15th generation vampires only up to about level 3 of any discipline. They are also harder to learn, costing both generations more experience. Interestingly, the thin-blooded also share in a sort of, what is it called? The ancient Greeks, they used them a lot. An oracle. They have a sort of oracular ability that is amplified within groups, and grants them knowledge of the plots and deeds of the Methuselahs and the antediluvians. Naturally, this makes them of great interest to the few who know their secret, but debates rage over the source of their visions and whether they can be trusted. Some believe the visions are memories of things glimpsed during their longer than normal period between death and rebirth as a vampire, while others believe the thin-blooded are perhaps being used by the antediluvians to mislead those who would fight them. Many kindred simply want to destroy anyone who could learn the secrets of such gifts, jealously guarding power, though for the part of the thin-blooded, they rarely understand the significance of what they see. 15th and 16th generation vampires feel some aspects of the curse less acutely than other kindred. They are less affected by sunlight, for example, both physically and psychologically. They find it easier to wake during the day, and they may even survive walking around in dim sunlight, such as at dusk, unharmed. This is why they're called, what were they called at the beginning? Duskborn. That's why they're called Duskborn, because they can walk around at dusk and it does not affect them. They can also hold down regular human food for longer periods of time and even digest it as subsistence with a great deal of effort. Their bodies display some signs of true life even. Sometimes their hair or nails will grow, or they will feel a beat of their heart. A very small number have even fathered or more rarely given birth to children. The nature of this offspring is not well understood. I just wanted to touch quickly on the 5th edition version of Thin Bloods, which 5th edition is what VTMB 2 is based on. In 5th edition, Thin Bloods cannot learn disciplines a normal way. Instead, they need to drink blood with a special resonance to get the ability to use one temporarily. Additionally, Thin Bloods are capable of learning thin-blooded alchemy to create formulae, counterfeiting normal disciplines or creating whole new effects. That sounds overpowered. Thin Bloods are not allowed to join the Camarilla, however, making them anarchs by default. Alright, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed another World of Darkness lore video. More coming soon. I think I want to touch next on the culture and societies of the World of Darkness, both mortal and immortal, supernatural and natural. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.